Hello and welcome back to the channel. Okay, it's time for some more gaming news. There's been quite a lot of it recently, and I've caught up on some other little bits as well. So let's try to cram a lot of it in, shall we? So PS5 reaction, PS5 price under scrutiny after just disruptive Xbox Series X reveal. Okay, what this is about, basically what happened is there was a leak for the new for the prices for the Xbox Series S and the Lockhart, which is basically the Xbox Series S smaller version, sort of the little portable version, basically, more or less. So these prices were leaked. So what Microsoft did, rather than doing a Sony and sort of banning and blocking everyone and just reporting and just getting nasty about it, Microsoft just came out and said, okay, yeah, fair enough, game's up. This is the actual price. Those are the prices. And the prices stand at, here we got it here, it's going to be the smaller Xbox, the sort of slim Xbox Series Slim. It's going to be $299 or $300 in the US and $249 in the UK. So next, you're going to get a next generation console for $249. And yes, it will be more powerful than Xbox X, which a lot of people thinking it wasn't going to be for some reason. It will be more powerful than Xbox X. So, and obviously for 250 quid, so probably about the same price as the Xbox X is now. So £250 for a next generation console is quite incredible. No, it won't have all the bells and whistles as the Xbox Series X. It is going to be weaker, significantly weaker. But it will upscale to 4K, as it says down there. It will upscale to 4K, and it will most likely do 60 FPS. And it's still going to have a 512GB SSD as well. And apparently this CPU is still more powerful than the PS5, the standard PS5. So that's an incredible price to get going, especially taking into account that you're going to get Game Pass for this and all games free and stuff. So you can pretty much. See, the thing is about the consoles is, especially the PlayStation, is a lot of its consumers, I would say about 70% of them, are casuals, and the casuals do tend to float towards games like COD, FIFA, and stuff like that. And that's why they picked up those consoles, because the PS4 was cheaper at launch and more powerful, but because of those deals, third-party deals. Xbox unfortunately dropped those deals a while back. Didn't want COD and FIFA be represented, which is kind of Microsoft did drop the ball on that aspect, even though I kind of sort of agree with them, because they are generic and money-grabbing games, basically based around microtransactions massively. But no one seems to dig at them because they like them. They seem to just target certain games for microtransactions. So this is a weird thing. Fanboys sort of just seem to target specific games for microtransactions, ignore others, the games they like microtransactions. But I digress. I'm going off on the tangent there. But the console is going to be 250 quid in the UK. I mean, to me, that is extremely appealing, especially considering the size of it. The thing is absolutely tiny. It's going to be the smallest console ever made. It's going to be almost like a GameCube, if you can remember that. So it will favour me for when I'm travelling, when I go abroad on holiday even. The kids, you can just pick that up, throw it in a suitcase, bish bash bosh, plug it in when you get abroad, especially when you're in a country where they don't speak English, so then you can watch English television on your TV over there, which is, again, I've been in some countries and it's just the TV's awful in your hotel room or whatever, when you're sort of trying to chill out at night, getting ready or having a break. And yes, and you can play games. You know, you can pretty much fit this in, I wouldn't say a handbag, but you can it is tiny, more or less. Well, look at it compared to the controller. It's just twice the size of a controller. So maybe 3 times the size of a controller. So you can probably imagine the size of it. It's the same width as a controller and probably just over twice the size as a controller. So you can just imagine how small this thing is. And it's going to be $500 in the US, $300 in the US. They've also given the price of the Xbox Series X, which will be $500 in the US and $450 in the UK. So 450 quid for the Xbox Series X is amazing. Now, what this thing is about now is it's saying Sony are in a bit of a predicament here, because I don't think they estimated the console being that cheap, being $450 in the UK, for example. I think there was sort of muddling around the 550, 600 range. So this is really putting Sony in a position here, because I mean this leaked a few days ago and Sony have still not come out of a price or said nothing. So yeah, as you can see, read here. Here's the problem: the vast majority of you reading this article will presumably be planning to buy the full-fledged PS5 or Xbox Series X. But for more casual consumers, historically the lifeblood of the PlayStation brand, which is the Xbox Series X, because the majority of the Xbox fans, the Xbox owners, are actually fans of the Xbox. The majority of the PlayStation owners are casuals, are just buying it because, as they say here, Call of Duty, Black Ops, and FIFA, which is what I said earlier. So Microsoft, with its Game Pass subscription, right? So let me read further down here. Where did they say it here? I can't find it anyway. But the main factor is Sony are in a bit of a predicament here because they obviously want to win the price war. They don't want to lose power and price. Remember, the three main categories that players ask for in next generation consoles is power, price, and backwards compatibility. I'll get on to backwards compatibility later on in the next subject. But for price and power, Xbox Series X has already won on power. Now for price, is Sony going to lose that as well? They're going to lose the price and power range, because remember, this is how Sony released. Sony released it's more powerful and costs less than the Xbox One, and it took a massive lead because of this. But if PS5 release is weaker and more expensive, that's going to put Sony in a position. But what also is going to put Sony in a position if they try to compete with Microsoft, who already said they can sort of waive a lot of the costs due to Game Pass. Game Pass is really supporting them. People still don't understand how subscription services work, which I read a comment earlier, which is mind-boggling. People still can't believe. They think Xbox is making it up, that they're making money from Game Pass. They think they're making it up. Is a lie. And they think devs are making it up to support Xbox. They don't think it's making money, which is actually, you think these companies and these people are trying to purposely go out of business and lose money when it's stupid. But anyway, yes, Sony going to lose money and massive amounts of money, and I don't think they can afford, well, they can't afford to lose that X amount of money selling the PS5. All consoles sell at a loss, but it's a running cost a lot. It's something you would have predicted to make back in your software sales. PS3, though it eventually did sell more than the Xbox 360, it ended in the red. It lost a lot of money, the PS3, because they originally sold it as £600 and it didn't sell at all, and it didn't have the games to back it up or the power to back it up, really. And it was a complete mess, and Sony lost so much money from the PS3 they was lucky to recoup it for the PS4. If PS4 didn't sell, that's why they had to take that hit. They would have went bust. Sony would have went bust, because PlayStation is the lifeblood of Sony basically now. So where does this leave Sony? Where do you think it leaves Sony now? Will they drop to $450? Will they just match the Xbox Series X price, or will they go cheaper? Can they afford to go cheaper? This is all the questions we're waiting for Sony to say now, because Sony have gone absolutely silent on it. So that's an interesting thing that's coming up. Let's move on to the next subject, because there's got so much to cram in here. Let's move on to the subject of backwards compatibility for the PS5. I called them out about a year or so ago on this, Sony. I said they're making too much money from PS Now, which is basically a subscription service for backwards compatibility, and they're making too much money from that, and they're enjoying that benefits. I think if they remove full backwards compatibility, if they remove the backwards compatibility from PS Now becomes pointless. It's worthless. It has nothing in it. It only has a few first-party sort of generation games, like PS4 games in it. It's mainly built up of old games. Let's be honest here. It's got 700 games in it, 650 of which are old games. They're not new games. So I said Sony are likely not to go full backwards compatible. And I was actually called out on this. Yeah, I was called out on this about a year or so ago on Twitter. I said Sony making money from PS Now. They won't add BC next gen. They know people will buy PS4 again and PS Now and remasters. Which, let's look at it. That's what they're doing. But Colt Eastwood of all people actually called me out. I'm seriously done with this. You guys are so anti-Sony. You can't even follow basic trajectory. trends and tech models to come to simple solution to PS4. Right, so I'm sorry to sound rude, but it's ignorant and short-sighted. So is it ignorant and short-sighted now because, well, Sony is still not telling us if it's got full backwards compatibility. Ubisoft's support page published yesterday confirmed that PS5 backwards compatibility will only be available for PS4 games. It will not have PS3, PS2, or PS1 games, which is what the Xbox Series X has. It has full backwards compatibility for all its consoles. The statement says this has been removed, reigniting discussion about the exact backwards compatibilities of the next generation console. Sony has not provided updates about backwards compatibility for nearly 6 months, despite promising regular news. That is true. They've not said anything about backwards compatibility for their console, and the console's launch in 2 months, and they've said nothing. Yes, that's one thing I've got to add in my last bit of news. I think it's 11th of November is the launch title for the Xbox Series X and Xbox Slim. But yes, there is no news, so it's hard to say that I don't follow basic trajectory or I'm ignorant or not using common sense. When clearly I know Sony and how they work and how their mindset is better than most. Clearly, well, I don't know why you'd actually think Sony would drop PS Now, because they would have to drop PS Now if they gave all backwards compatibility games free. If they made all games free, then they'd have to drop PS Now because it'd have nothing in it. It would be just empty, and then they would lose that revenue. That's basic trajectory. That's basic. Everything you said is basically that is the truth of it. That's how it's going, I'm afraid. So there we go. So how do you feel about PS5 not being fully compatible? As I said in my last statement, PS5 backwards compatibility is one of the things that gamers wanted. Out of the 3 things: power, price, backwards compatibility. You can all grumble, say no one buys next generations for old games. Yes, you do, because you buy remasters and you gloat about remasters. They are old games. You can say oh, they're better graphics now. You can put all bells and whistles on it, but they're still old games. You're still playing old games. Just because they look prettier now, they're still old games. I'm sorry. They are. You've played them before. You completed them before. You're playing them again. They're old games. Stop trying to make out remasters. Stop trying to be fooled by Sony into believing remasters are new games. They're not. They're old games. Stop it. The weird case in point of it is Demon's Souls. You're all banging on at Demon's Souls. I believe it's a PS2 game, is it? Not Demon's Souls? But you're hyped about playing that game on PS5. It's a PS2 game. You've been sold a PS2 game. And yes, it does look better graphics, but you've all played it, or you've all played it before, you've all completed it before. It's not a new game, it's an old game with better graphics. Xbox are doing something similar. I think it's called Smart Delivery, where their old games, they automatically get upgraded. They don't resell them as remasters. What they do, their system upgrades them. Sort of like the PC does for its old games. It upgrades them. So like they've already done it with many games. Many games, last generation games, or say 360 games, are now running at 4K 60 on the Xbox Series X. The Xbox X, I should say. So Xbox Series X will do the same to Xbox games and other games. They will just be running at better resolutions and better FPS. They've already said some of this generation games on the Xbox Series X will run at 120 FPS. Games like Gears 4 and 5 will possibly run at 120 FPS on the Xbox Series X. So Xbox does that. It doesn't recharge you. It's not going to do a remaster of PS5 and resell it to game to you. Their consoles will automatically upgrade it with Smart Delivery. So, what do you think about backwards compatibility? I mean, you can come at me now and say, oh, nobody cares about it. People do care about it, so stop whining about it. They do like it. Everyone likes it. Nobody wants to buy a new generation console and lose all their backlog of games. If you've supported PlayStation from the very beginning, do you really want to lose all your generations of consoles? Do you want to really keep a console for every generation? They're all getting tired and knackered. You have to keep space for them. And do you really want to lose all those games? You just forget about them all? You know, do you want to do that? No, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to just say goodbye to the whole collection. You should be able to carry your stuff over. The technology's there. You shouldn't be held back because Sony's holding you back. This is the future of gaming. I'm sorry, it is. So let me know what you think of backwards compatibility, and Sony being very quiet about it, and it's very, very, very likely that it will not have backwards compatibility for one to PS1, 2, and 3. And I don't think I've seen rumours that it won't even be all PS4 games. It will be select PS4 games, and I'm not talking about a lot of them. I'm just talking about like 100 or so PS4 games will be backwards compatible for PS5. Awful, awful practice. Lazy, lazy Sony. Right, let's move on to the next subject. So generically, you get the media automatically hating on Xbox. Yes, the Xbox gives its price out first, and the media says PS5 wins Shadow War. Xbox loses nerve as PS5 price and release date remain cloaked. So Sony are getting a pat on the back for not revealing their price, while Xbox is losing apparently for revealing their price, even though everyone's been saying both companies need to reveal their price. So Xbox does it first, and they're bad for it. They lost their nerve. Actually, they didn't lose their nerve. It was leaked. So rather than do what Sony did and start just banning and blocking everyone, Xbox just come out and said, "Yeah, okay, that is the price. There we go. Let's just get on with it. Let's just move on." They've just done the right thing, basically, the morally right thing to do. Xbox. Whereas Sony is still quiet, but yet they're winning. They're winning because they're not giving their price out. How would you twist that? That is just weird. How them being sort of anti-consumer is winning? PS5 wins Shadow War, Xbox loses nerve. It's brilliant, isn't it? And people say media bias isn't a thing. How can you just say that? That Xbox gives its price out and they spin it so it's a bad thing, and advertising PS5, of course, even though it's got no price or anything. And they've got 8K. I've just realised they've got 8K on the box. That is incredibly misleading. That is really awful. They put 8K on the box. 8K HDR. That is really misleading. I mean, it was misleading before when they put 4K HDR on the PS4 Pro box when it would come out as misleading because they don't actually run any like new generation games 4K native. It's just 4K upscaled. And now they put 8K on there. My God, how misleading is that? Well, I'm guaranteeing you now, people, there will be no games running at 8K. Fact. Guaranteed fact. Here, you've heard it here first. There will be no games running at 8K on the PS5. That is a very misleading advertising right now. I'm surprised it's got away with it. Play has no limits, except that it can't run PS1, PS2, PS3 games, and it's going to run games, a lot of them at 30 FPS. Other than that, it's got no limits. But let's move on. So the 25th anniversary of the original PlayStation launching in North America, according to multiple leaks, the PS5 price or release date was not confirmed, while PS5 pre-orders remained firmly closed. And this is all really good, apparently. They've won because everything's remained closed, there's no pre-orders, no costs, so Sony have won. But we are no strangers to biased media here. I mean, these say PS5 wins next generation console war by doing nothing. They've won the console war. Console war in brackets. I just hate the word console war. It's just a ridiculous, pathetic sort of word, statement. Sentence even. PS5 wins the next generation console war by doing nothing. You got that, people? They've done nothing, but people were still claiming they've won by doing nothing. It's incredible, isn't it? This is incredible. This is the Metro, everyone. Metro is basically a tabloid paper in the UK, which is free, and obviously at the moment, especially with coronavirus going around, nobody's picking up their papers because they give them away on the trains and stuff like that for free. And nobody's getting them, so they're losing money. So obviously they need to clickbait massively to recoup losses. PS5 wins next generation console war by doing nothing. Again, nothing. It's brilliant by doing nothing. Again, it's almost as if Sony are always doing nothing, but you're always claiming they're winning by doing nothing. It's incredible, isn't it? That you can. I've not released a console. I've not done that myself personally. I've not released a console or made any games, so I've won the console war, haven't I? Because I've done nothing. So my console's the best and my game's the best. Even though I've not made any games or done anything, I've done nothing. But mine's the best as well because I've done nothing. Because doing nothing makes you the best at things, apparently. Oh God, I just drone on about this. It's just ridiculous, really bad journalism when you get crap like this, and the bias is so incredible. Oh man, what's more incredible is people just don't see this as bias at all. Oh man. But anyway, let's move on to the next subject. Jeff Keighley, our resident Sony arsewipe, just goes on to just downplay Xbox again and hype up PS5 because he's unbiased apparently, because he runs the Game Wars shows, he runs a gamer show, the Game Awards. Everyone's aware what the Game Awards are. They're coming up soon. He hosts and runs those, despite being pro Sony and anti Xbox. He apparently runs a neutral show for gaming, but is anti Xbox. This is how, and people wonder why Xbox doesn't win anything every year. Well, you got Jeff Keighley sort of running the show. You know what I mean? I don't know what you expect. It'd be like the equivalent would be if you have a ref in a football game, the ref supporting one of the teams, and then that team winning, and people going, "Wait, what happened there? Why was these penalties given to that team but not this team?" Well, it's because you've got a dodgy ref, and this is exactly the same. Instead of a dodgy ref, you've got a dodgy Jeff. Oh man, I'm here all night. Right, so yes, Jeff's in a. Yeah, he's in some sort of. Really can't bother this man. He really irritates me. He grinds up his face. He's so smug, and he just talks absolute bollocks all the time. A lot of what he says is being debunked as well by Alana Pierce. Anyone know Alana Pierce? Ex-IGN thingy YouTuber. She's great. I watch her content. She's a nice girl, great stuff. Very down to earth, very honest. She done a really good video actually. Please Google it, look it up about Game Pass, and she's confused why people are downplaying Game Pass and hating on it. She's absolutely confused, and it blows her mind, to be honest. It's a really good video she done. But I mean, Jeff goes on to just talk PlayStation as he always does. Talk about Kojima for some reason, even though it wasn't about Kojima, but he just thought he'd start talking about him because he fancies him, or something like that, or just wants to be in his games now because he was in Death Stranding. That's how Death Stranding got nominated. Let's be honest, because Death Stranding was an awful game, and it shouldn't have got a nomination, but it did because he was in it, and it was a PlayStation game. Remember, if anyone recalls back to the Game Awards, just last year's Game Awards, that Gears of War 5 scored 85 on Metacritic, didn't get a single nomination, but games like Control, which had publishing rights by Sony, scored in the 70s, and Death Stranding scored in the 70s, but they got nominated for Game of the Year. For a game that rated 85%, didn't get any nominations for anything at all, which is weird. So I'm not sure now. What's the Game Awards based on? I'll tell you what the Game Awards is based on. It's based on nominations. Now these nominations are by players. So what happens is, because they can't do it themselves, you've got a small panel of sort of judges, right? And they pick who wins out of the nominations. But the nominations are first decided by players. So what happens if they put out the feelers to places like IGN and sites like that and say, right, can you do a poll on what games you think should be Game of the Year for that year? That's what they say. And then everyone votes in. You can do it right now. You can look it up. Google how do I vote for a Game of the Year award, and you can Google it, and then you can vote on what you can want. So you can pick any game if you want. All of you now, everyone can vote on, I don't know, Minecraft, big game of the year, or I don't know, Bugsnax. Everyone right now, Bugsnax not out, but you can see my point. Everyone can vote right now on Bugsnax to win Game of the Year, and if you voted on it, it will get nominated. If now it comes to the judges then make the ultimate decision. They can say, oh, no, that shouldn't win it. That shouldn't win Game of the Year. So that means Bugsnax has now got nominations, so it's nominated for Game Awards, but it didn't win because the judges have the overall decision made by what's nominated. So this is what's happened. So players decided that Control and Death Stranding should be nominated, but because you can see where the where the line is here. So PlayStation has 110 million supporters. Xbox has 50 million supporters. So when there's a vote going on, you've got 110 million voting for PS games to get a nomination, while you've got 50 million voting for Xbox games to get a nomination. So you can see why Xbox games don't get nominated because they can only have a select few. You can only have 5, I think. So you can see why Xbox games not get nominated. It's just this basic maths, isn't it? Really, unless for some year PlayStation fans are not going to nominate any of their games, which they will do anyway, regardless, even if they're rubbish. Like Death Stranding, it was awful, but they still nominated it because for one, they're not going to nominate an Xbox game. For two, they had nothing else that year. What else are they going to nominate? There wasn't nothing else that year, so they all nominated Death Stranding and games like Control, which also were very average. But it was publicised on the PS5. It was publicised on PS5. So they voted for the games they could vote for, or what they had played. And none of them had played Gears 5 because they don't own Xboxes. So that's basically how Game Awards work. Right, so, and then it goes up to, so the games get nominated, goes up to the next level, which is judges, and judges get these 5 games that are most highly things, and then they pick, right, who's the winner. And then when they got that list, when they see those games, they must have thought, shit, what a load of shit games. Oh well, then I can't even remember that they voted the winner at the end. Was it Sekiro? Shadows Die Twice, I think? Which thankfully they did vote that, because that probably was the best of the bunch. Because it was a horrible bunch, because people vote with their emotions, not with any form of logic or anything. They vote with their emotions and vote with the console, obviously. But anyway, let's get back to Jeff. Let's get back to good old Jeff, who's waffling on about Sony and Kojima, and waffling on about Sony and just saying about how they've got a massive first-party lineup. It looks incredible. I'm going to throw it back at Jeff. Jeff, what are their massive? What have they shown? Their massive first-party lineup they've shown. You said they've got a massive lineup of first-party games. I'd love for you to tell me what these are, because when I've seen all their shows, I've seen none of that. First-party games that I've seen them show are Horizon Zero Dawn, which is in 2021, 22, possibly, very likely. Spider-Man, which is DLC, really. It's not really a full AAA game. It's an expansion that's just been passed over on PS4, which they delayed for the PS5, because otherwise the PS5 would launch with no games at all. It's only 7 hours long, the Spider-Man game. It's not a full game, it's an expansion. Ratchet and Clank has now come out. That's also an expansion. Yes, it's an expansion. The developers in Insomniac said it's an expansion on the previous game. So what it is taking the worlds from the previous game and then sort of mishmashing them so you can link between them. Yes, that's how they got the game out so quickly. It's very lazy. They're basically using the old game's worlds and maps and stuff, and then just updating them graphically and stuff, and then you just leap between them. That's how they got the game out so quickly, because they're just copy pasting basically from the last Ratchet and Clank, or the previous Ratchet and Clank games. So that's why they said they've called it actually an expansion. You can Google that as well. So we've got 2 expansions. So you've got Horizon Zero Dawn, Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man. First party I'm going here. There's some game beginning with R, Rectangle or something like that. GT, Gran Turismo, 52, I think. I can't remember what number they were on there. Another Gran Turismo game. That's all I'm thinking of their first party games are. Jeff, help me out here. You said there's a massive lineup of incredible first party games. You're gonna have to help me out here, mate. I can't think of any more. On the Xbox side, you've got you've got Microsoft Flight Sim that's coming to Xbox Series X. You've got Gears Tactics. You've got Fable. You've got that Everlong game. You've got Halo Infinite. You've got Forza Horizon Motorsport. You've got Everwild. You've got Hellblade 2. Oh man, I can't even. There's too many games now. They've actually got vastly more first-party games, which they've actually confirmed and shown coming to Xbox Series X. But good old Jeff has said PlayStation's its companion and got amazing stuff coming to it. So he goes on to sort of downplay Xbox as he does and upplay. He says he's got an interesting story to Xbox, but PS5's better. He's got no reason to buy an Xbox. Of course you're not, Jeff. As if you'd even consider buying an Xbox, you weird elitist fanboy of Sony. And he goes on to downplay Game Pass, take a massive dig at Game Pass as well, saying it's sort of like let's go have a look down. He says it's basic cable package. You don't want it to be like your basic cable package where it's like it has a lot of cool stuff, but what I really want is HBO. Firstly, who wants HBO? You know what I mean? So secondly, I'm sorry, Jeff. Game Pass is pretty much like, if you compare it to TV, Game Pass is equivalent of getting your Amazon, your Prime, your Disney, your HBO, and your Netflix all in one subscription service. That's what Game Pass is. It's basically like getting all the best packages in one subscription service, which I'll go on to in a minute. So Jeff, I don't know where you're coming from with this, mate. Once again, you're just really misinformed for a gaming journalist. You're really badly misinformed, mate. PS Now, though, which you've sort of ignored off your list, is just a subscription service for old games. I'm shocked that you've got. It's like PS Now is like Dave. Anyone from the UK knows what the channel Dave is? That's what PS Now is like. It's like Dave, or it's like your Gold, your Sky, your Gold channel. You know, where it shows all old stuff, like it just shows all your old programs on it. That's what PS Now is. I'm shocked that he's not even mentioned that. But why would he mention that? Because he wouldn't mention it. So he just goes on to waffle on about that. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention Jeff because he's always in the news. He's always putting himself out there because he's trying to remain relevant. And he's a complete penis, to be honest. Let's move on to the next subject. Yes, this bit of news is going to upset Jeff now. Oh, Jeff, Xbox Game Pass is adding EA's Play subscription service at no extra cost. That's right, everybody. You're going to get EA access and play into Game Pass. So when you now subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate, you not only get Gold, Xbox Live, your subscription with it, but you also get EA access as well as other stuff. That's right. As I said, Jeff, you can get Game Pass and you get all the subscription services all in one package now. Do you get how that works now, Jeff? You can see how your statement looked really pathetic and stupid and misinformed. This means Ultimate members can enjoy EA Play on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Xbox S and Windows 10 PCs. Xbox Game Pass with PC members get EA Play on Windows 10. Microsoft explains the additional EA Play will start this holiday. So anyone now with Game Pass will automatically get to play all games like FIFA and UFC and Titanfalls and all EA games, basically. All the sports games and all the other stuff, including Mass Effect, Sims. This is there. You get those now with Game Pass. So how can you spin that as a bad thing now? You've just got one subscription for everything now. One subscription gets you all. So this means now, let's just picture the scene now. When you go into the store, when some kid, little Timmy, is going to the store, want to buy a new next generation console, he sees Xbox Series Slim for 250 quid. Zoink, pick that up. Oh, what games do I get through it? Oh, I get a Game Pass, which gives me all the games on Game Pass, which is 200x games on Game Pass, which includes a lot of the last gen games, and then all the new games coming out at launch for free. Oh, and then you also get all the EA Access games, so you get the little Timmy, you get all these FIFAs and all these sports games and all these other games like Mass Effect and The Sims, which I'm sure you enjoy, little Timmy. He'll get all them for free as well. Oh, and he gets full compatibility for all the thingies. So if he's owned consoles in the past, he gets to play all those games. He gets all those games for free, and he just bought a little console which he can carry around with him to his mate's house to show him what he's got for just 250 quid. PS5, however, the massive bulking router that it is, which you can't carry around, you're going to need a dump truck to carry around, comes with nothing. And it's going to cost most likely 550, or they might budget themselves to 450 and kill themselves. It's gonna get nothing with it. It's gonna get nothing with it. Oh, but you get Spider-Man. So yeah, Spider-Man. You get Spider-Man. So after 7 hours of playing Spider-Man and you completed it, what'd you do then? Horizon Zero Dawn 2 comes out in 2022, so I suppose you can hang out until 2022. Your PS5 playing Bug Snacks until 2022. Oh no, it's got Ratchet and Clank. Sorry, that should be coming out soon. You have that to play. How fun that will be. I'm sure little Timmy will enjoy that. Probably a lot more than he'll enjoy Gran Turismo. But you can see the deal here. It's going to go to the casual gamers. 250 quid for a console and hundreds of free games. Literally hundreds of free games. Plus, you don't have to buy any games at launch. All games that are coming to Xbox, like the Medium, all third-party games, like Medium and such like that, are also going to Game Pass. So even third-party games you won't have to buy. You're going to get them on Game Pass. So not just first-party, but third-party games. Incredible. And then there's also talk Cyberpunk going to Game Pass as well. From day one, it'd be a massive push. I'd have to give Thingy a lot of money. But would we expect it in 3 months, 6 months? Yes, definitely. I would see Cyberpunk going to Game Pass within 3 to 6 months, most definitely. Kind of like how Metro did, and various other games like that did. So there we go, everyone. That is incredible. Xbox Game Pass is adding EA's Play subscription service at no extra cost. Boss. So if you've already got 2 years Game Pass Ultimate, you're getting now. You've got EA Access for free. Ta-da! Let's move on to next bit news. Now this is awkward. This is very awkward. I reported on this a while back, and I've debunked it way back when it first hit. Turns out, once again, I was right. But it's very awkward for the people that sort of really hate on Xbox Series X for this, and there's lots of receipts out there right now. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will run at a minimum of 30 FPS on the Xbox Series X. People seem to have skipped the word at a minimum. They seem to have skipped that out, the minimum. They just said the game's running 30 FPS on Xbox Series X, and just rolled with that news and laughed at Xbox Series X saying it's going to run games at 30 FPS. And everyone was reporting this, everyone was downplaying Xbox Series X and really making a massive joke about it. Even though it's running at 30 FPS on the PS5, they were making a massive joke about it running at 30 FPS on the Xbox Series X because, you know, why not? Because it's just target Xbox faults. Let's not target the PS5's faults because they sleep with their PS5. So wouldn't be like pointing out your wife's faults, wouldn't it? During while having sex with her, you just wouldn't do that. So they target someone else's wife. I don't know why I'm just making that. Right, but what's funny? It's where the receipts kick in. What's funny about this whole story? What's funny about this whole story, of course, is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This is the latest news. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will run at 4K 60 FPS on Xbox Series X. No word from PS5 version. Once again, I suppose that's good news that we've not heard any PS5 news, as the media runs with. PS5 says nothing. It wins. Oh, my dears. Assassin's Creed, yeah, so the game, I was right, as always, and that's why I'm called the guru, you see. I was right, as always. I predicted this. The game will run at 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X, but there is no news on the PS5. So whether it will run 60 FPS on the PS5, we've yet to see. This could be to do because Xbox had the market rights, so they might just be withdrawing holding back that information, or the PS5 just can't do it. It's one or the other. So I'm going to go with the PS5 can't run it at 60 FPS. I'm sort of pushing towards that way. Because a lot of the games, Digital Foundry also supported, a lot of the games they showed were running at 30 FPS, including games like Ratchet and Clank and stuff, and Spider-Man. People can go, oh no, they got 60 FPS mode. Yes, highlight the word modes. They got 60 FPS modes, but the whole game is not native 60 FPS. That's why it has modes. Usually when a game has a mode, that means natively it can't run 60 FPS. So they have to stick a mode in. Now the mode means they have to restrict other parts of the game, and it's usually the graphics. So they downplay the graphics to push up the frame rates. That's what the word mode is. So yes, it will have modes. Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man will have modes run at 60 FPS, but that means it will graphically be weaker. So it will be upscaled 4K or even 1080p versions that would be running in 60 FPS. For a next generation console, it's awful because that's basically what the Xbox X did. Xbox X could run 4K upscaled 60 FPS. So if PS5 is going to do that, that is absolutely lazy and awful. And I will question Cerny, who by some people, some morons, have called a genius. They call him a genius. Which I'm shocked that people call him genius because he's still not made a console that doesn't sound like a jet engine. I'm sorry, Cerny. I'm sorry. Well, I'm quite happy to debate with you, you weird, creepy man. I'm happy to just confront you with this, but why have you not made a console that is silent yet? Why do your consoles literally sound like jet planes? Yeah, I just want to know, why can you not make a cooling system that works? Yes, what happens to the PS5 cooling system, everyone? He said he was going to announce a PS5 cooling system, which is going to be revolutionary. Still no word of the PS5 cooling system either. But I guess no news is good news. That no news means they're winning the generation, yeah? By not telling you anything, they're winning. My dears, my dears. Right, so, yes, so here we go. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will run at 4K 60 on the Xbox Series X. No word on the PS5 version. Let's move on to my final topic. Now I'm going to end sort of on a positive theme here. This is very interesting. This is why I can't wait for this game to come to the Xbox Series X. Microsoft Flight Sim players are flying into the Hurricane Laura. So the States had a Hurricane Laura recently attack them. They was attacked by a giant Laura, and players playing Microsoft Flight Sim were actually flying to the storm and viewing it. Yes, because Microsoft Flight Sim is based on is a modded Google Earth. You can actually fly to real world weather scenario things. So let me have a look. Have you got pictures here? Look, people actually flying to Hurricane Laura in the game, real time. How incredible is this? See, now this is I don't know why this is not being praised enough. Look at that. I actually flew past a hurricane that was in the States when I was flying back from Mexico. I think it was the one that was just off of Florida last year. I can't remember the hurricane. That was a big one. But we pretty much see that out the window. What we see there, as we was coming back from Mexico, we flew past over Florida, obviously, to the UK. Flying through a hurricane in Microsoft Flight Sim. Look at this. Look at how brilliant that is. This guy. I also sent my dad some of the screenshots. Lol, can't wait to see his reaction. Just flew a plane through the hurricane in the Flight Sim. This is a fucking game, dude. That's what he said to his dad. Look at that. This is all people. Look, people flying to the hurricane. Now that is next generation. That is this should win an award. This should possibly win Game of the Year award, because this is unprecedented. This is an actual game. Now, this is only massively fantastic and groundbreaking in gaming. But I've been saying this for years. I hope Phil was watching. Please make a Superman game with this technology. Can you imagine a Superman game where it's all like GTA. You go around doing this general Superman stuff, but then you get real world stuff like this, and it uses the Google Earth thing. You get real world stuff like that, and as Superman, you can fly up and you fly to those countries, and you fly there. Obviously, faster than the plane, and you actually fly and you get all this, and you actually fly through Earth, and then you can land and deal with the problems. You can fly down then to the bottom of the storm, or imagine there's a fire, a forest fire, real world forest fire, real world volcano erupting, and then you actually fly there and deal with the issue and save people and stuff like that. Can you imagine how incredible that game would be? Real time, you'll be reading it in your paper, and then you'll go, oh look, there's a hazard, there's like a volcano erupting wherever, and you put down your paper, you'd log on to your Xbox, and then fly there as Superman and actually help people survive the volcano. Can you imagine that? Obviously, saving people wouldn't be real world. You would be actually saving people, but the volcano would be real. You'd be flying to the real location, and then obviously that's when the game mode would kick in, and then you'd save NPC people from the volcano or from the storms. That'd be incredible. That would be the ultimate Superman game. Yes, throwing some baddies, but actually flying around, saving people, flying around the world alone as Superman, flying through the clouds at supersonic speeds. Incredible. This is massive news, a groundbreaker, and I do hope this game wins Game of the Year, because it deserves it, and I can't wait to play it. Anyway, let me know all your thoughts and comments down below. Love to hear more of everything you got to say, really. What do you think about the prices? Are you interested in the Xbox Slim for 250 quid in UK, for 300 in the States? Does that interest you totally? Please sub and share. I'm trying to get as many subs as possible so I can get more support, so I can get a better mic, because this mic is awful. It's a bit echoey. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye for now.